Good morning and welcome to Errol's Eye On. I'm your host, Alan WAZNY, and the expert is is Errol Vas. Errol, you're in China, I'm in Canada, so if I'm saying good morning, you're actually in the evening, is that right?
Yeah, I think we're about 14 hours apart. So right now it's 9:30 p.m. for me and like 7:30 a.m. for you.
So it's a good start, but look, our first topic, and we're going to go, this is episode one. For those of you who don't know Errol, you can look him up. He's all over the internet, well-known. Errol's Eye is going to be very famous. But Errol, today we're talking BPO, and what is BPO?
Yeah, so BPO is just an abbreviation for business process outsourcing. So that's basically when companies outsource any business-related tasks to a third party. And nowadays it's synonymous with low cost labor that yields really good results. Right. And so there's two types of BPO. There's essentially two types. There's front-end BPO, and that's any tasks that deal with customers. So any tasks that face the customer. So stuff like customer service or emailing, those types of tasks, right? And then the second type is back-end BPO, and that's stuff that the customers don't see. Stuff like data mining, lead generation, any data entry, stuff like that.
So not to be confused, because when you and I first talked, I thought business process optimization, which is, I guess that's maybe an older term, but that's business jargon as well. Does that, because it sounds like what you're doing is also optimizing some of the business processes by bringing in the resources.
Yeah, well, it would kind of fall along the same lines, because when you're outsourcing business processes, you're taking it off your hands. Then essentially your business is working faster. It's working. You're not doing these manual tasks, so that is optimizing your business at the same time, right? So, I mean, maybe BPO can be an abbreviation for two separate terms, but they are a little interrelated, because outsourcing business processes is going to optimize your business.
So this is great. So let's step back, because why? I mean, not why BPO. You can answer that question, but why? What have you done? Like, what brought you to this point? Can you share that, like the 2 cents worth of elevator pitches? Why we're talking BPO?
Well, there's just a lot of benefits with BPO. How I actually got into BPO is, starting by myself as an agency, you're always looking to scale. You're looking to do more, to work faster, but it's difficult to hire employees on site. It's expensive. It takes time, right? So by outsourcing business tasks and outsourcing and getting outsourced talent, it makes everything more accessible, even for small businesses. So that's kind of how I started getting interested in it.
Right.
And I mean, some of the benefits for BPO, I always say there's a lot of benefits, but the three ones that I always talk about is number one is, like, the primary goal is to cut costs and free up time, right? So if you have employees that are doing any repetitive task that can be broken down into a process, with BPO, you can take those tasks off their hand and outsource them, and you can do it at a lower cost. And that's the other big benefit, is it's very low cost. See, so you can outsource those tasks, and you don't essentially need to then get rid of your current employees or your on-site employees.
Right.
Rather, you free up time for them to do other tasks that's going to drive the business forward. I mean, sometimes you will replace employees with BPO, but other times it's just a way to once again optimize and move forward faster.
So, Errol, I mean, this comes to mind in the gig economy, and you're a little younger than myself, but I mean, the gig economy has been, I think, thriving for at least maybe last 5-10 years, whatever it is. This fits in nicely with. It seems like it would fit very nicely in some of the shift into gig economy and gig workers. How does that fit? How does that play out for you, or what the people you work with?
I mean, that is the perfect fit. A lot of people who are doing BPO, a lot of the sourcing for BPO comes from other countries. We're looking at places like Philippines, Pakistan, India, some European countries. And a lot of those people they like working from home. Yeah. They like working from home. They're maybe traveling, stuff like that. So it is good for the gigger. for people who are doing gigs. And yeah, I mean, I think the rise of BPO, it's definitely related to the rise of gig culture. You know, like people working off site, working gig by gig. It's all intertwined.
Okay, so let's, do you have some examples of I don't know, is make big company, small company? It sounds like this could fit in a lot of places. Some,
Yeah.
big companies who scale down, but then the economy's picked up. And I mean, do you have a couple examples you could share, a type of businesses you'd work with?
Yeah, so I mean that's a good point. It can be for, you said, small companies, mid-sized, big companies, and yeah, BPO is good for all size of companies, and it's good for different reasons. So for small businesses, sometimes a clear path or vision for scaling is there, but for a small company, hiring new employees or getting or implementing that path, sometimes it seems out of hand or sometimes just too expensive.
Yeah.
Like I said, hiring employees on site, it's expensive. So what BPO does, it kind of opens up doors and uh opens up opportunities for small businesses that previously weren't there. So now it's really easy for a small business to hire 5 employees when for the cost of maybe one on-site employee, and that's what's kind of opening the door for the small businesses. And then for mid and large size businesses, a really big benefit of BPO is for like the HR department, because with BPO it almost lets you bypass the whole
Right.
looking for employees, hiring them, onboarding them, retaining them. It's really difficult, and especially in today's society, there's a lot of churn with employees, especially the younger employees. There's a lot of churn. People are job hopping, etc. That's really difficult on large companies, and it's really difficult on HR departments. So what business process outsourcing does, it allows them to bring in the infrastructure that these large companies need, but they pretty much get to bypass the whole hiring, onboarding, training, and retaining struggle that exists for big companies today.
So it sounds like you just hit on. So you've hit on, to me, HR. You've hit on the operational, depending on where your BPO goes. I mean, how do you decide the low hanging fruit in terms of how you're going to help an organization? I'll give you a quick example. I'm in HR. I'm already in HR. I'm already doing all of what you just described. What do you say to that HR person? I mean, it's like their desk is full. Can you help them? Do you focus on them? Do you help with the revenue people, the business? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of choosing from. There's a lot of picking to choose from. Tell me, Errol.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the world. Like, I'm a small business and I'm running around and I'm chasing all those. How do you bring that down? How do you level that?
Yeah, like let's say how can you work like directly with an HR department? At the core, to do successful outsourcing of a business process,
Yeah.
to bring someone on, you need to know kind of what processes that they need filled, right? So essentially, you're
Right.
just looking at what sort of infrastructure, what sort of jobs do you need done? And for BPO to be successful at its core, you're looking to outsource tasks that can be broken down into specific processes, right? So you're not looking to be outsourcing like complicated 3-tier, 4-tier tasks. You're looking to dish out stuff that it's manual, it's not physical, and it's just something that you can write a clear SOP for and get someone to do day in and day out through routine. So like for a large company working with an HR, I think HR, they're often fed a lot from different departments.
Yes.
Like, hey, we need this infrastructure set up. We have these needs. We have these needs. So I think HR knows what HR has a pretty good idea of what a company needs, but they just need someone to kind of bring in the talent for them, and that's where BPO helps out. BPO is also good just for the individual. If you're a busy CEO or you're a director or a manager, and maybe you don't need a whole team, you just need an assistant. So it can come into play for pretty much anyone, whether you're just an individual, you're a mid-sized, big company. It's pretty much if you have tasks that you're doing every day and you're saying, hey, you know what, I could easily train someone to do this. Take off this hour or 2 hours or 4 hours of work that I do every day, and I can focus on something else. That's kind of the beauty of BPO. And and that's kind of how you'd want to implement it on a task
But
basis.
it would seem that you would need to spend time with either whoever it is in the organization to understand those processes. Do you get that? How do you get that foot in the door without earning any money yet? Because you've got to learn what the processes are that they need and how you can match your skills or the people you would bring in to help them. I mean, where does it start and where does it end? Could you give us? Yeah, sorry, Errol.
Yeah, I think it just starts with like communication, so like what on a daily basis, what do you do that takes the longest? What task tell me some of the tasks that you're doing and how long they're taking you, and then you can kind of, when someone's explaining what they're usually doing, if you're going to be outsourcing BPO for them, you kind of have an idea of what works and what doesn't for outsourcing, right? So like, oh, okay, I hear that he's every day he's answering these emails that are pretty much the same repetitive answer over and over along these lines. Okay, so like that's something that could be outsourced, or maybe someone's spending 2 hours on their LinkedIn replying to messages that are all pretty much along the same lines. Because sometimes you get these inquiries and you're simply, hey, let's set up a meeting, right? And it takes time to reply, set up a meeting. That's something that you get someone else to do. That's something you could get someone else to do. So really the effective way to hook up BPO to what actually someone needs is just the communication in between and getting those answers.
So Errol, when you talked about the email and you talked about that repetitive tasks, and as an accountant, I mean, I've been not struggle, but there's so many repetitive tasks we can use automation for that. So, to me, it sounds like a bot could handle some of that. I'm not going to tell you need to use the bot. I'm saying, how does tech play a role in some of the work you do in BPO?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good question, because that's something that, anyone who's on the technical space would be like, you know what? You can use a bot to automate. And actually what I do is you can teach your outsourced staff to use these automation tools. So, and a good example is this. Let's say that you are a company and you are selling, you're selling hockey equipment. No, that's a different.
Yeah, we're in Canada. Great. No, Errol, you're from Canada.
Okay, yeah. You're selling hockey equipment. Yeah. You're selling Zambonis. You're selling Zambonis. It's a little easier for me.
I love
selling a Zamboni.
I love it.
Right.
That's a big object.
Your strategy is, it's Zamboni sales. It's funny how this stuff comes up in conversation. So, your task is you're gonna go on LinkedIn and find all these ice rinks or managers of arenas. I guess it would also be related to cities, because like city public works departments, all that kind of handle the public arenas, right? So you'd have to find each one of these people and send a message to them. And so using BPO without software, you'd have one person kind of searching that up and messaging, finding them one by one. Or you can teach them to use a piece of scraping software that they can simply type in a keyword like
oh no, there's a pun. Is that a pun? Because it's scraping software to scrape the ice? No way. This is awesome. Wait, so the software's called
intentional.
So the software's called scraping software. I love it.
Yeah, so like you could get someone to maybe you just boost your outsourced staff's own
productivity, right? Their productivity,
right? So
off the charts. This is awesome. Wait,
exactly.
What's the name of that software? Do you know? Okay. What's the name of that software?
That wasn't a name of software. That was actually just a software type. So scraping is essentially a software that goes in and it just scrapes data off of a database.
Oh, so I don't take a shovel and take the shovel and clean off my computer. Is that not the same thing? Well, I love this. Your analogy works. So I understand that, because that's a grind, right? To go through LinkedIn or go through, to find those profiles or email, send a bunch of emails and answer emails. I mean, I love that. So the Zamboni machine, by the way, there's a great commercial. You haven't been in Canada for a while. There's a Tim Hortons commercial where what's his name from the Pittsburgh Penguins? He rolls up on a Zamboni to Tim Hortons drive-through. Gosh, I can't remember that. Anyways,
Crosby.
Yeah, so Sidney Crosby rolls up, and I can't remember who his teammate is, and they just roll up. Y'all have a iced cappuccino. It's funny, but it's what a Zamboni, how slow they are, right? And they kind of steer forward. It's brilliant. So your Your example was great. But so what are the costs? What can companies expect? All right, I hired people, they fired people. You mentioned that earlier, and there's a whole training. I guess that's just, maybe I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, this is actually the best part about BPO is the cost is low. It's low, and it's great for your overhead, whether you're an individual or you have a massive company. It's going to help your overhead. And so really it depends on what you're looking for. Let's say it really depends, like anything, how skilled the person is, their expertise, their experience, but you can get a good outsourced labor, a good, let's say a virtual assistant. Let's say you're just getting an assistant to help you with everyday, just kind of mundane tasks or repetitive tasks. You can hire someone from as low as like $4 up to maybe $10, and $10 would be for like a really experienced worker who might already have knowledge of a lot of softwares and automation softwares and can just plug right into your company without much training. And then, yeah, you can get as low as like $4 an hour. And that might be someone who's like a university student or fresh out of university, or someone who doesn't have as much experience, but is definitely with some training, you're going to get a lot of value out of them. So that's the cost. And that would be a cost for maybe just an individual employee. On the other side is, depending on the tasks that you're going to be dishing out or outsourcing, you might need a whole team, right? So you might be doing let's say you're doing a task where you're like a calling task. Let's say you have a list of 5,000 customers and you need each of them called. Like, let's say it's a customer follow-up message, call, customer satisfaction call. That's going to take you forever with one person, right? So maybe you need a team of 5 people making these calls. You can hire on a team basis, but yeah, breaking it down, you'd be looking at anywhere from 4 to 10 an hour.
And Errol, I don't think you want to use automation. This is the Zamboni's world calling you to see how your Zamboni's been. But if it's that automated voice, it's like hang up, right? So
exactly, right?
Yeah. And the Zambonis, they move like, I'm sure they move like hotcakes. People are selling and buying and selling Zambonis.
I don't know where that analogy came up from, but that came out of my head, Zamboni. So yeah, it's always like the industries you don't really think about that have a lot of like cool sales processes and cool processes behind them,
So, I know we jest about the Zamboni, but seriously, what kind of companies have you seen out there that it sounds like this could fit for, like we said earlier, all medium to large, whatever. But do you have some examples you want to share? You don't have to say name names, but companies that have actually benefited from a BPO in recent times.
I would say every major company, like the big ones, the Fortune 500s, everyone is outsourcing now. Like everyone is outsourcing.
Yeah.
A lot of online companies, companies like HubSpot, companies like Zendesk.
Right.
You can get into all of them. They're all outsourcing, especially when it comes to call centers. A big company that's known for their good customer service actually is GoDaddy. GoDaddy is a web hosting service. Maybe not the most liked company in the web techie world, but it does have really good customer service, right. And they've just completely outsourced it. You can live chat with anyone, anytime, 24/7. You can call those things to glitch.
We're glitching a little bit there, so Errol. But no, I get it. I get that. I get the side of it. It sounds like it's ubiquitous in pretty much so many companies, and it sounds like it's behind the scenes because, like you just said, if they're outsourcing that customer service, you don't know. They're basically, for all intents and purposes, working for the company. So one last question, because it seems like you're offering a service is more like an HR recruiting type of. You have to manage that too. If you have people out there, you have to manage them and your customer expectations. What do you do to manage that process? Your own process for if you're outsourcing people.
Yeah, for sure. So it really depends on the situation. If someone just needs one virtual assistant or one worker, usually they can just be in direct contact, right? And that's enough. you don't really need too much of a management system for that. But if it's going to be an outsourced team, the best setup is I'll have like one manager in an office, like an actual physical location overseas, and that we'll have one manager who also acts as a central communication point for the company that this team is working with. So that means you don't have to be talking to everyone on the team. You have one manager who can facilitate the communication. And then, you have everyone else in an office, and that office can be equipped with screen monitoring, CCTV, everything to make sure everyone's there on time. But having a manager there in place really makes the whole process easier for outsourcing.
Wow. I mean, we could probably spend all day on this, but how do companies set this up? How do they set it up, and what would you recommend companies to do?
Okay, well, if we'll start at the smallest first. So if you are just an individual, maybe you run a blog, you're not even making money right now, but you need an extra hand. The most cost-effective way is just go online and Google, you can go to like freelancer.com or fiverr.com, or just Google it, and you could get in touch with someone. And then it all starts with the conversations, let them know what your needs are, and then you can negotiate price from there. If you are a company and you're thinking you're going to need a team set up, maybe like an office location, maybe a manager to manage that process, then the best way is to get in touch with like a BPO company. And to make it easy for your listeners, if anyone needs help with this, they can go to my website, errolvas.com, send me a message, and I can help with the entire, just help explain this whole process and kind of get them going with it.
Because I think what you just said, I mean, it's everyone says just Google it, but today, as you get to just Googling, as you know, the ads get AdWords, or sometimes Google keeps you there. You don't even have to go through the search. It's whatever that first. I mean, if I type in BPO, right? Let me just do an example right now. I'll go to BPO. We're going to do this live. It's not Memorex. Let's go BPO. Okay, so BPO meaning BPO Philippines, BPO pause. So the first thing that Google gives me is just BPO. I'm going to click on that. Search gave me 939 million results. That's a lot. So Errol, break that. Like, what is like? Look, what do I do, Errol? This is really hard. I just don't know, who do I go to? And the first 5 are ads, so I know they're paid ads. So how do I?
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people, that you're going after BPO to get your costs down, and a lot of those companies who are kind of on the first page and who are paying for those ads, they're adding quite a bit of overhead on their services. So maybe they can get you an office, or they can get you in touch with an assistant or a worker, but you're going to be paying extra for that fee, right? So I mean, that's why I say you can kind of skip the big agencies. If you're just looking for one worker or something like that, you can go on like a freelancer.com, and you could probably find someone. But if you're looking for more of a professional managed solution that will really help you scale with you doing minimal effort, and I would get in touch with an actual service. And I mean, you could start just by Googling it, and like I said, you
or
can
go to errolvas.com.
Kind of break it down. Yeah, there you go.
Errol Vas. So that's two R's, OLVAS. But Errol, no. But to your point, I'm gonna give an example I listened to recently, and I know this for a while, but cybersecurity. The guy was talking about the cybersecurity space. He said it's massive. Like there's so many services. As you said, we found there's 939 million results, but for most individuals, they don't want that. They don't want all that. They want to know what is the key things to me. So the guy said, there's so many services for that. We do this, and it was a cybersecurity threat. We look at the landscape, and we suggest the best solution for you. Not because he says we can't do everything, and so from that lens, it sounds like Errol's your eye would be, let me talk to you, because how to filter through that. It sounds like you'd be a great filter for that. What I just Google search.
Yeah, exactly. I would be I am a good filter, because it really just depends always on the need, right? So I mean, if you, a lot of companies, maybe you just need one assistant, they won't tell you, hey, just go to Freelancer and find someone. They'll try to like upsell you on a big package, or kind of tell you, but I mean, I find that if someone just needs one assistant and maybe they can do that by themselves, that's kind of like dipping your toe in the water. You'll see the power of BPO, and then you're going to say, you know what, actually, I want to have like a 10-person team, but it's easy to have one person be a direct report to me, but I can't handle having 10 people direct reporting to me. So I would like having a manager, and I would like to have them in an office that I can watch them on a CCTV. And I would really like to be able to watch their screens and have someone report if someone isn't actually doing work for my company. And that's when it gets a little more complicated, and when it makes sense to, hey, I'm going to outsource, or I'm going to ask someone else to give me a hand, right? So, yeah.
Errol, this has been fun. Well, so any final words on BPO and what you want to say? Because I think you've captured it right there, that last piece. But is there anything else that I didn't ask you and you wanted to get the message out?
No, I think we were pretty clear. I guess my last statement on BPO, I just say it's a very cost-effective way to put your company in hyperdrive, and it's a great way to cut costs and increase office productivity.
I just had, when you were talking about the CCTV camera, and I got to imagine the Zamboni, watching that Zamboni. It's like watching paint dry, watching the ice get cleaned. But today they're more efficient. I mean, the old Zambonis, right? They were tractors, right? The guy would pull a tractor with some hot water. It would be a tractor pulling that hot water. And today you watch them. They're like, they go 2-3 down the lane. They got the scraper. You watch the NHL today, right? They're just, I got to, those Errol, we got to go there and we got to interview Zamboni drivers, right? Let's do it.
I'm always impressed with how like accurate they are, and they make those turns. I'm always impressed by that.
Errol, this has been great. So Errol's Ion. Thank you, folks, for listening. The 2 listeners out there. Errol's going to be back on. We're gonna continue this next week. Errol, have a great day.
Thanks, Alan. You as well.
All right, cheers, man.
Pleasure.